We're live, Viv.
Yay! Hello, Susie in Costa Rica.
Hello, Viv Adcock. How are you in
One day
Australia?
I'm going to be in another continent and another country as well. I'm always happy. I mean, I love my home. I love being here, the space and the contribution my home is. And I also love to travel. And I'm like, what would it take for me to be at Costa Rica and do a live with you or somewhere around the world that we're actually live together?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yay, I'd like that a lot, actually. What would it
What
take,
animals could
Viv?
we invite to come and play with us too?
Exactly.
So our topic for today is one of those topics that, how many dog owners go, what is with my dog eating grass? And there are a number of reasons, quote unquote, from, a textbook position as to why dogs eat grass. So,
Yeah.
Susie, why do dogs eat grass? Take it away.
A great question, Viv. But to me, it has always been sort of like this quote unquote cleanser in a way, because honestly, most of the time, when a dog eats grass, they do throw it up. So to me, a dog knows when there's something going on in its stomach and it just requires some help to kind of get that out, and so we have this wonderful thing. We can stick our finger in our mouth and push our tongue down and go bleh, the dog doesn't have that option. And so to him, he might just run outside and eat some grass and then throw up and feel splendid afterwards. And so, why not use that as a natural way to get the shit out when it needs to come out? And that's not to say that a dog will throw up every single solitary time when they eat grass. I think it depends probably a bit on the amount of grass they eat, because grass for a dog is actually not really digestible. So it's not like it's really going to do anything for him, but sometimes it comes out, and you've seen that too, when your dog ate a lot of grass and you see it come out the other end, and it pretty much still looks the same as well, which is an indication that really the body can't do a whole lot with it. But also, again, it's a lot of roughage that's going through the system, and it's kind of like when we are choosing to eat a lot of fiber. Sometimes we're like, oh, I need some fiber. I need some fiber going through my system, and you know it, and your body knows it. And, we as people may not be so in tune with our bodies most of the time, and we don't listen to them as much as a dog does. But a dog knows, oh, I require some roughage going through. And it's not a thought, of course. It's not a cognitive thing they sit there and think about, but to me, eating grass has always just been like this thing that dogs can do if desired, and then they throw up. So to me, it's not like, oh, the weather is changing, watch out, there's going to be some rain coming, or, are we going to have a drought sitting in? No, I would say your dog's tummy is upset, or your dog just loves to chew on something, which that could be a thing too, and I don't think it's really that unnatural. I think it's a pretty quote unquote normal behavior that all dogs have, as a natural way to cleanse, to contribute to their bodies. And that's pretty much I would say, most of the reasons why they do it.
And one of the comments I made, just letting people know that this live was on, was about how connected animals are to their instincts, whereas we seem to have kind of deviated and gotten distracted and to some degree disconnected from our body and listening to what it is that our body requires. So it's interesting because I Googled, the top 6 reasons why dogs eat grass. And just what you were saying, sometimes they need to increase their fiber and their roughage. So I noticed with my greyhound, because she eats quite a lot of grass, but it's a very particular grass. She'll walk around and she'll sniff blades and she'll sniff blades and she'll sniff, and it's one particular type of grass. So I try and keep a patch of it growing in the garden for her, because they do know exactly what it is. If they can get onto it, in the wild, they'd have a smorgasbord of things that they could tune into that their body would require, whether it's a reset for their system, whether it's to vomit. And with her, she never actually vomits the grass back up. It's always to come out the other end, which is delightful when she's walking around with half of it hanging out of her bum. And she's like, you know, when they get that really freaked out look on their face when there's something hanging out, and they're trying to scoot and do all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's
Which
incredible. And, yeah.
Which actually just if somebody ever has that going on with their dog and something does hang out the bum, please don't yank on it. Like, please just very gently pull it out. You can help by pulling it out. You don't have to, like a lot of people say, don't pull on it at all. I would say no, that's not necessarily true, but be very gentle. Don't try to just hold on and let the dog jump away from you, because if there is anything else that you could be pulling on, let's say there is an obstruction that came with the grass, you don't want to force it out. You want to let it come out naturally. But if it's just a blade of grass hanging down and you just pull gently, it will easily come out. So you know, you can help your dog with that. You don't have to watch them the whole day with a piece of grass hanging out of their bum.
Yeah, and just, you know, a random piece of information, greyhounds can't sit. So most dogs kind of scoot along, and, you know, if they've got worms or there's something going on, they know how to deal with that. But a greyhound can't sit. It has a very unique vertebrae in its spine. It's a bit like a cheetah, which is what allows them to compress and expand. So they actually can't physically sit. So I've had lots of fun out in the wild looking for leaves and things to kind of, you know, like, you know, I'm not going to go any further with that conversation because it's not everyday barrier tissue. But the other thing that I found interesting too was one of these researches that I did was talking about how it helps cleanse parasites as well. So, you know, who knows what minerals or what, like you say, Susie, roughage is contained in that particular grouse or whatever it is that they're looking to eat as a way of, like you said, cleansing their bodies. So what other instincts do our dogs have that maybe we're overlooking, or even making a problem when it actually isn't a problem?
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think always, you know, when there is always a drastic change in behavior, and behavior could be something they're eating as well, that's maybe when you have to look at it. You know, if your dog has never eaten grass in his entire life much, and all of a sudden he starts excessively eating grass, you may want to check that out. Like, okay, what's going on? You know, because that's a big change in a habit, in a behavior. And anytime we see that, we should ask some questions. You know, does your body require something? What's going on here? Because it could also be like essentially that there's something missing in the system, and they're actually, they know something is missing, and they're just now looking to kind of get that in there, you know. And of course, there are some minerals and vitamins in grass as well, even though the dog's digestive system can't really break it down. But their instinct will let them know this is actually there. This is part of this thing that I'm eating, even though my system can't break it down. Like, they would still look for it, you know. And we do. I think it's very dangerous to keep comparing our pet dogs to wolves. Okay, this is so much removed from that, even though it might only be a gene, but the behavior and everything they're doing is so much removed from it. We have to be careful when we do this. And there are some things that we can also be aware of. So, for example, wolves and coyotes, when they take down a prey animal, they always eat the stomach first. So they eat the stomach and the whole entire contents of the stomach. Now, a lot of times what they are hunting are animals that eat roughage, grass, you know, seeds, like that sort of thing. And what's going on in their stomach is, by the time they're being taken down, that has been fermented to some degree. And so, you know, the wolves and the coyotes that are eating that fermented content of the stomach with the whole entire stomach and the intestines and everything, what that starts to help them with is actually digesting all the meat that they're going to eat. So it's actually kind of cool also how that's set up for their own way of eating. But of course, we don't feed our animals that. We don't feed them an entire animal plus the stomach content. And so there have been some companies that try to mimic the fermented greenery of the stomach to help your dog digests. So if your dog has a lot of digestion issues, you might want to look into that. Like, is that something my animal requires for their digestion? And find those companies. It's pretty easy nowadays with the internet searches, and you can find that very quickly, and what's available in your country. So that's just something to look at too, because it might be also that your dog is saying, I'm missing something in my diet.
Yeah, I've got a funny story with that. Mia, my old dog, when I used to take her to my friend's house for a weekend play day, she would always break into the compost bin. So my friend was an avid vegetable gardener, and compost was, a vital part of her garden. And Mia would always get into the little tiny trapdoor at the bottom where you could scrape the compost out, the rotted compost. She'd be lying on her side and she'd be scraping it out with a paw. And granted, she was part Labrador, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then I realized this exact thing, Susie. It's like her enzymes were off in her stomach. So I ended up having a chat with somebody who specialized in, supplements and herbs, and actually Chinese acupuncture and things like that for dogs. And so she ended up giving me something to actually help reset the enzymes in her stomach. So if I didn't ask the question, I would have banned her and stopped her and chastised her and got her into trouble when she was actually trying to do something that her instincts were guiding her to. So, if you're watching this, please don't jump to conclusion that whatever your animal is doing is immediately a problem, or it's a wrongness. It's like, stop, like you say, Susie, stop and ask some questions. What's going on here? Is there something that you need adding to your diet? Is there something we need to take out? Do you need medical attention? Is there something else? So can you show me what's going on here? And this is how you start to lean into their world and start to receive the communication, or the awareness and the signs that they're actually doing their best in their way to maybe awaken you to. So trusting those instincts, and learning to trust your instincts too. What are the animals inviting for you to start trusting you a lot more?
Exactly. And one thing though,
you
go ahead. Sorry, Viv. Go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to say, and this isn't to replace veterinary advice either. Always consult your vet as well, because they're an essential part of keeping our animals healthy. So yeah.
And one thing also that I wanted to say is, please, guys, be also aware what grass is your dog chewing on, because they may not be aware when they're chewing on grass that has been treated with pesticides or herbicides or any of those things. And there is actually now a pretty strong suggested research that says that dogs that are consistently eating grass from sources that have been sprayed one way or the other may develop cancer. So please be aware of that, because it's not every grass is healthy grass. So please also know what is the grass source that your dog is choosing. And that's where you have to be the steward, because to your dog, it's just grass, and, he or she will just eat it. But you have to educate yourself, is this grass actually still natural grass, or has it been altered in a way? So please be aware of that.
Yet another great conversation, Susie, with a few little giggles woven in amongst it. So I wonder what our topic will be for next week. Will you have space to do another one this time next week, Susie?
I think so. Yeah, I should be. Yeah, that should work.
Great. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a week's time with another surprise topic. Who knows? Susie's in the tropics with all sorts of different animals like three-toed sloths and caimans, which I didn't know what a caiman was. It looks like an alligator, but it doesn't eat people, apparently.
It also doesn't quite get as big.
That's reassuring.
Although I mean, last year, I think it was, I saw one right next to one of the casitas in the grass, and I have to say, like, it was laying there very still, and it was just sunning itself, and it was so inviting to get close to it. But I know how fast they can move, and I was like, I'm not doing it. But I was so tempted. So I stayed on this little wooden porch, and I was only maybe about 5 feet away from it on the porch. But it was just gorgeous to just be in the presence of such a magnificent animal that is just so other looking, right? It's so different from the animals that we hang out with usually, you know. And boy, but the just all the way that it was patterned and everything is just so beautiful, you know. And then the eyes, and yeah, it looked so peaceful. But yeah, I know, ooh, you know, I know. And even though they may not eat me, but they can still bite, and their teeth, they look pretty ferocious. So no, I did not go close to pet
You
it.
listen to your instincts, Susie.
Yeah, I sure did.
Well, my friends, I'm off to have my fiber for the morning. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, my friend Susie in Costa Rica. We will see you
Thank
next
you,
week.
Viv, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.